you guys. Welcome back to my channel. My name is Ijama. I am a family medicine attending. This video is not a vlog. This is more of a sit down chat with you guys. I'm going to be talking about family medicine fellowships in this video. I want to talk through the most popular ones, the ones that are mostly for traditional family medicine, and reasons why you may want to consider it. I hope that, or my goal for this video is not only to provide general education, but also to expand your mind for those of you who follow me. A lot of you guys are interested in family medicine, and maybe you haven't considered some of these things, some of these other options for your career. You can, add these to your repertoire. So with that being said, let's get into it. I don't really like to do long-winded introductions. First, let's talk about the benefits of doing a fellowship. Why would you want to do one? For number one, for family medicine, the fellowships are only 1 year long. You can deepen your knowledge in a certain area and concentrate in that certain area for just 1 year and move on to start your practice. So it's not like a 5-year, 3-year commitment. Some people do it, number one, for more mastery. Some people do it for passion. They have an interest in a certain area. Some people use a fellowship as a stepping stone to where they want to eventually get to. Some people use a fellowship to spend time. Like maybe your significant other is doing something where they have, maybe they're in a 4-year residency if they're in medicine, or they're in a program where you did 3 years and they still need 1 more year before you guys can, start your life together or something. Then you may do a 1-year fellowship just to fill the gap. Some of the reasons why people may choose not to do fellowship, you're burnt out. You don't want to keep, being a learner, or you're always a learner, but you kind of want to get out of the structure of learning and just get into practice. Maybe it's a financial thing, because in fellowship you are paid, but it's not, an attending salary. It's more than a resident, but less than an attending. So maybe people just want to get to the money. If you already know you just want to do general practice and build from there, you may just start practicing. Some people have in mind to do fellowship later in life. You don't have to do fellowship right after residency. You can start practicing, learn a little bit more about what you have interest in, and then do fellowship. And sometimes people choose that route because they feel like fellowship might be more valuable to them at that point, when they've already had some years of being attending underneath their belt. The other thing is that within family medicine training, especially if you go to a good residency, most times that you can do what you want to do without fellowship. There are certain things like emergency medicine and obstetrics, I would say, that you could still do. Like, I know people who've gone straight from residency to do those things in certain areas of the country, but there's some things like that where you would have a better footing going into that profession if you did fellowship. So there's some, but for the most part, you don't need to do fellowship to do some of the things that people do with fellowship, if that makes sense. So that's another reason why some people don't do it, because they feel like, well, I don't really need to, if that makes sense. Let's get into the fellowships. Okay, so I'm gonna first just list out the ones that I'll talk a little bit more about. I would say that the most traditional for family medicine that you would see are faculty development, sports medicine, geriatrics, obstetrics, hospitalist, and then there's a few others underneath that. And I would say like palliative care, emergency medicine, addiction medicine. Those are a few of the more non-traditional ones, but you can still go into through family medicine. And there's more. There's a lot of other fellowships that people do. Some people do sleep medicine fellowship, or functional medicine, lifestyle medicine. There's a bunch of other stuff out there, but those are probably the main ones, and the most that you may find yourself running into. So I want to talk about those. So the first one is faculty development fellowship. Some of you guys have probably never even heard of it, and all these fellowships are 1 year. A faculty development fellowship is basically what it sounds like. is faculty development. It is a year of learning how to teach, how to give feedback, being a leader, leading a group of students, whether it's medical students or residents, learning how to make a curriculum, learning how to, operate in the world of academic medicine. So there are, depending on the type of residency you went to, if you find yourself wanting to do academic medicine, this may be a good option for you to get more. Sometimes as a resident, you don't feel like you got all of that like admin stuff, especially if you weren't a chief and you didn't have to, you didn't find yourself in the position of having to, give negative feedback or having to, come up with something, teach something, do a lot of lectures, things like that, create programming, so that faculty development fellowship is something that can help with that. And I will say I've known people, like even from my residency, who went straight to do faculty development and then go into faculty position. It's also common for people to maybe stay on faculty where you were or transition to a different faculty position and then maybe do that type of fellowship later. But it's a great one, especially if you are interested in academics. Okay, I wanted to take a quick break just to let you guys know that this video is sponsored by, you guessed it, BNX. I am reviewing their air filters. So they sent me some actually when we were living in our apartment, and I was able to use them there. We moved into our new home, so we haven't needed to use them. Air filters are really important to help reduce dust, allergens, pollen, mites, mold, different things like that in your household air that you breathe to help keep everyone safe, keep your lungs clear, and help keep your air as clean as possible, especially if you have people who in your home who have a lot of allergens, people who have lung disease, even just you're a healthy person and you want to breathe clean air. So these filters have been shown to remove 93% of harmful particles in the air, and they are made based here in the United States in Houston. Besides removing harmful particles like dander and dust in the air, they also help reduce your energy bill, like basically help to keep your home more energy efficient. It keeps things flowing smoother so that you're actually using less power to run your air conditioning, and your airflow is smoother. So that is something to keep in mind too. The quality of these air filters is at the level or above the recommended by the National Institutes of Health for your air filters in your home. They can be changed every 3 months, so you can buy 4 of them for your size, and that would be a year's supply. I do have a link down in my bio for these if you were interested in trying them out. In previous videos, I've reviewed their masks and also the pulse ox, and it's a very trustworthy company. You can buy them on Amazon. They're very well reviewed, and I know that if you're just looking for a solid air filter that's well made and is going to protect you and your family, this is definitely one to consider getting. So I wanted to share that, and then we can get back into the video. The next one is sports medicine. Sports medicine fellowship is probably the most popular as far as I'm seeing. We have 2 to 3 people every year. Well, when I was in my time in residency who were going into sports medicine. It's a fun specialty. It's its own specialty. Like there's family medicine, and then there's sports medicine. Almost has its own thing, and it's really cool because as a sports medicine fellow, if you go through fellowship, you can choose to do only sports medicine, like work for like maybe an orthopedic clinic or do your own thing, or you could do family medicine with sports medicine. So you don't have to like lose out on your primary care experience. But sports medicine, of course, very procedural heavy. We're all about MSK, very hands-on. You get to use a lot of your physical exam skills every day. You get to master injections of anything and anything everywhere. You get really good with ultrasound. it's a growing field that's accelerating, and there's a lot of research being done in terms of regenerative medicine, stem cells. So it's a very fascinating and can be a very fun fellowship. It's gruesome, like it's 1 year to learn a lot. Like you do sports medicine and MSK in residency for sure, and of course you can use your elective time or whatever to get even more experience. But 1 year to cover all that stuff is a lot, to learn all the systems, the knees, the ankles, the hips, the shoulders. You know, it really is a lot to cover. And on top of that, you do the sports coverage. Hello, sports medicine. So you're being like team doctor for basketball teams, football, soccer, and you're learning about being on the sideline, learning about injuries, injury prevention, learning about student athletes, taking care of them. It's a lot, but I think people find it, you know, fun, rewarding, and when they come out, they have a skill set that many general practitioners may not have, depending on the residency program you went to. So, I mean, I know for me, I enjoyed MSK. Not enough to do a sports medicine fellowship because I'm not interested in all the sideline stuff. And I wasn't super interested in the PRP and the advanced stuff. Not really interested in, I have slight interest in ultrasound, but I don't know if I see myself really putting in the effort to master it, if that makes sense. But I just liked all of the procedures, and I felt like getting good with the physical exam gave me this confidence. So I can see how people would want to go into it, but I do those things. Some days I literally feel like I'm running a sports med clinic because I'm doing the same thing, and I'm going to be doing those procedures as well. Like a lot of the injections, like trigger fingers, knees, shoulders, and you know, I feel like I'm still getting the part of MSK that I like in my practice, but sports medicine fellowship would open you up to be able to do so much more and get paid more. Like again, like, you know, when you've done a fellowship, you have more to offer, like you have more expertise. So you can argue more, like when you're negotiating your salary, like, hello, I didn't do this extra year of training for nothing. Especially with sports medicine, it's very procedure heavy. You're gonna be bringing a lot into the office, or, you know, I don't know however you structure that practice. And so you should be getting paid more than the average family doc. Another popular fellowship is OB. I considered doing OB fellowship. Quickly realized that that was not for me, but as a family medicine doctor in this country in general, I would say would be recommended to do obstetric fellowship if you wanted to do FMOB, unless you went to, you know, a very OB heavy program. You had, you know, at least 100 deliveries, obviously more the merrier. Like obstetric residents have so much more under their belt after their residency than we do for us to go out and be trying to do the same thing. So I definitely would push more for OB fellowship if you were in family medicine, and we're going to do that. One of my good friends from medical school is starting OB fellowship next year. They teach you obviously vaginal deliveries, low and high risk, more high risk than you probably would have done in residency, and also surgical. So you do learn how to do C-sections. Most of the time, people who are doing OB fellowship are going to find themselves in the Midwest or maybe a rural area in their practice, because in most urban areas, it's just hard. It's not impossible, but I find that it would be, from what I've seen, it would be hard to penetrate as a family medicine doc trying to do OB if you were in a city. Like here in Houston, I don't even know if there's any outside of the residency. So in the residency, there'll be FMOB people, obviously, to teach the family medicine residents, but just in general practice, I really don't see it. It's not as common as it is like in the Midwest. So keep that in mind. If you want to do obstetrics, it's kind of a location-based thing, unless you want to be shielded within a residency program. And even then, you may have to kind of fight for the things you want to do, because it's just, you know, rightfully so. I mean, we just don't have the same amount of training as our obstetric colleagues do, and so that can hinder sometimes the access and the credentials that you're able to get in hospitals. Another popular fellowship is geriatrics. Geriatrics is popular not only for family medicine, but also internal medicine. Geriatrics is, of course, a fellowship focused on our older adults above the age of 65, I think is what they call geriatrics, maybe 70. I don't know, but you know, our older population. Of course, you see a lot of older folks in residency. You don't need to do a fellowship in order to treat older people, but the fellowship is going to train you more in that niche. So you will learn more about like memory changes, physical, like physical changes in the body, how to do certain tests, like, you know, focusing more on dementia, walk testing, kinds of therapies they need, polypharmacy, how certain medicines affect people when they're older, Beers list, all that good stuff. Of course, nursing homes. So this is, if you ever see yourself maybe as working in a nursing home or in a hospice environment, then geriatrics may be a really good fellowship for you. You don't need to do geriatrics fellowship in order to be medical director of a nursing home, but having that in your toolkit is really good. Like where I work, there's 2 of the doctors there that have geriatric fellowship trained. Like they did geriatric fellowship, and they're able to, I mean, we do the same work. I don't know if they get paid any more or less. Well, I'm sure they get paid more because they've been there for a long time, but I'm not sure how that plays into their role. But one of them does like 1/2 day a week only doing geriatrics, and does like kind of a lot of like memory stuff, or like age-related declining and families kind of wanting them to be evaluated. They do a lot of that type of stuff from what I understand. But just being able to offer something like that, you know, it's a cool thing. And it's not like I couldn't do the same thing, but thank you. He's geriatric fellowship trained and is able to offer that skill set. So, yeah, I think it is interesting if you can do a practice fully in geriatrics, like, or a Medicare only practice, that models that I've seen. And if you find yourself maybe wanting to do that, a geriatrics fellowship would be great. My clothes are done in the washing machine. You also do like geri trauma, I think, is part of that. I remember some of the geriatrics residents, like in the ICU, they would consult on the geriatric patients, like ICU, hospital delirium. You could even do like inpatient geriatrics. Like it's not all just clinic or nursing home. There is like a whole area for inpatient geriatrics too. So it's a lot to explore. So I mean, I definitely wouldn't count it out as an option. The last like more routine family medicine fellowship I would mention would be hospital medicine. This is Hospitalist. Very much what our internal medicine colleagues are trained to do, like from the get-go. If you go to an inpatient heavy family medicine program, you likely will not need a fellowship in this. Like I could go straight to hospital medicine, and we've had people in our program go straight to hospital medicine from our residency. You don't have to have a fellowship, but if you want more of that training, that's what it's for. Pretty simple. You just do more inpatient medicine, maybe some more ICU stuff, get your procedures up if you want to be able to offer procedures. However, a lot of family medicine hospitalist jobs, they kind of understand our training is a little bit different. You're usually in a smaller hospital. Hospitalist fellowship can just give you more confidence to do inpatient medicine if you felt like you didn't get that good of inpatient training while you were a resident. The other one is similar, is emergency medicine. So there's sometimes people who you go through family medicine residency, and as you're going through it, you're like, ooh, like I kind of like this EM thing, but I'm not going to go back to emergency medicine residency. And that is an option. There are people who do family medicine just from residency, go and do emergency medicine. Now, where you work is the key. Same thing like hospital medicine. You're not gonna be in some big trauma center. No, like you'll be in a level 2, 3 trauma center, community emergency room, not that many beds, you know, a smaller city, maybe even rural. And that's most likely where you'll find the emergency rooms being staffed by family medicine doctors. You may even see some nurse practitioners and like mid-levels who are doing emergency medicine in those settings as well. But you can still kind of get that fix if that's what you like. And doing an emergency medicine fellowship can train you a little bit more on the procedural aspect, the acuity, the trauma management, you know, just things that you may not have gotten as a routine in your family medicine training. So I think I learned about emergency medicine fellowship as a med student when I was in my last year. There was a family medicine resident that I met who was like, yeah, like this is what I'm gonna do. They just kind of saw themselves a little bit more in that world. And I thought it was pretty cool that you can kind of make that pivot. It's just 1 year to kind of grind down and focus on those things. And you can feel more confident going to work in a local emergency room. The last two that I'll mention are just more like honorable mention for palliative care and addiction medicine. These are not family medicine specific. People do these from internal medicine. You may have a psych do like some additional addiction medicine training. It just depends. But it's just good for you to know, and I wanted to at least plug it, because if you do develop an interest, or if you already kind of have that interest and you're trying to figure out how do I get to that, you can do family medicine or internal medicine, which is also a 3-year residency, and you can enter into that specialty. You can do learn about prescribing like long-term narcotics for not only for pain but also for not rehab, but like detox. You could do like medical director of maybe a detox situation, or you could run a clinic and like a methadone clinic. You could do Suboxone. You could work and do your regular family medicine, but then have that on the side as part of your practice. If there's like a center, you could maybe a couple of days a week you work with them, or you oversee the distribution of certain medicines. You can just have more of that training, so you can do those things in addition to maybe the regular primary care that you want to do. You could do more hospice if you want to do palliative care, inpatient or outpatient hospice. You have more comfort with the different long-term narcotics that you do. You could partner with a cancer center and be on the staff for like a big cancer center doing palliative care as part of one of their teams. If you were like, like not really feeling all the primary care stuff, you could work with cancer patients. So there's the world really is open when it comes to family medicine. It's another reason why it's a wonderful specialty, because you can get into it and you can love the general blood pressure, diabetes, patient education, obesity management, diet, cholesterol, back pain. You can enjoy like the mundane nature that is primary care and just educating people and day, doing all that kind of stuff, referrals. Or if you feel like you see yourself a little bit more on like specialist vibes, but you don't really want to do 6 to 7 years of training, there are some options within family medicine where you can specialize, and that can be part of what you offer it as a complement to primary care, or you can find yourself fully in that space and not do primary care anymore. So the options are really limitless, and I'm hoping that I expanded some of your horizons a little bit today with this video. I hope you enjoyed watching it and just learning a little bit more about what the field of family medicine can have to offer, because it is a lot. I so far am enjoying what I do in general practice. I'm 6 months into practice, just doing underserved care, not just doing, but doing underserved care, primary care, and eventually wanting to slip into some academic medicine in the future and integrative medicine as well. Similar to like how I mentioned earlier, I have a colleague who does one half day of geriatrics. I think like a big picture would be able to do like a 1/2 day of integrative medicine and lifestyle medicine clinic type of thing, where people can refer their patients to me for those type of conversations, and we can talk lifestyle management, we can talk supplements, we can talk about all that kind of stuff, because that's the type of things that I'm into. That's kind of what I see for myself in the future, at least while I'm staying underneath the like employee arena. Maybe longer term, I could see myself going out on my own, but it's one step at a time. And for right now, I like what I do. I like where I work. I like the people. They treat me well. I'm getting paid good. I just want to like, I think I'm just good right here, but I just want to keep stretching and like looking for ways to expand within what I'm doing, if that makes sense. So anywho, I've been blabbing enough. This video has gone long enough. You guys have probably drawn from me as much as you're going to for today. I hope to see you guys in my next video. Please like this video, give it a thumbs up. If you appreciated the information, share it with somebody who's maybe thinking about like fellowship or family medicine. And I'm going to catch you guys in, excuse me, and I'm going to catch you guys in my next video. Bye.